Okay, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat, and I'll have you know I have a cup of coffee today because I misplaced it the other day when I was talking to you guys, and yeah, now I've got it. Oh, I can pull this little table out. Everything's just kind of, you can't tell so much other than like the shelf looks like it's sitting at an angle and stuff, and I know you're not supposed to point out all those flaws, but yeah, I have no problem pointing out my flaws. So I've just got everything kind of wonky right now because we're expecting puppies in 9 days. And I had to make a whelping area for my dog, and which thank goodness she seems to like it. So hopefully she actually has the puppies there. But it's meant I've had to kind of scunch some stuff around because, as you know, those who've been with me for a while, this room serves as a library and an office and a sewing room and a studio and now a nursery. So here soon. But anyway, I've had to move some things around and make it work. And so we've got an optical illusion happening behind me, and I'm not sure why. On camera, it looks like that shelf is sitting sideways, and it's just, at an angle, and it's driving Marvin that's when he looks at the videos. But I don't know why it's doing it. I don't know. I think it just has to do with, I don't know how the camera films. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk to you about today. I just wanted to take a quick moment here to have a Grandma Angie heart to heart with y'all. So you ever have those things in your life that are just kind of frustrating, things that just can't quite get resolved and taken care of, and you end up waiting and waiting and yeah. Well, we've got a couple of things that are going on right now, and I won't go into all of it because I don't want to I don't want to say anything bad about somebody else. And yeah. So, because we're doing some business with a business that we dealt with, a local business before in the past, and I like if I have to go spend money, I prefer to spend it in family-owned businesses that are local, and rather than going to the big corporate businesses and the big box stores and all of that. And so that's what I've tried to do, but it's not going very well for us, and I'm not sure what the problem is. But anyway, it's a little frustrating, and we're having to, we trust God and things anyway, but we're having to, draw on Him for our attitudes and everything, because we still want to be Christ-like, even when things aren't really maybe what they should be. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But, we were talking about this because we talk about it just about every day as the days just keep ticking by and the delivery isn't being made, and yeah, it's just okay. So I need my coffee today. So Marvin and I were talking about it again this morning because today supposedly something's supposed to happen, and it still feels like nothing's going to happen. And those times when you're talking to God about something and you're trusting Him for it, but it still feels like maybe He's not listening, or maybe He didn't hear you and things aren't going to, work out or whatever. Because I know for me, I think I tend to expect an immediate response. And sometimes I do get an immediate response. A lot of times I do. But I think that if God's timing's not always my timing. Sometimes things take a little longer, and I have to be patient, and I can grow in my patience, but, I worry, is He really going to answer? Did He hear, or whatever? And it's reminded me of two things. One was one of our daughters. We have 6, but one of our daughters was here for about 4 days, and we were talking about different things and sharing some stuff with scripture. And Marvin had brought up Jeremiah 33:3. And so I said, oh, I know that verse. I remember, memorizing it as a child anyway, but I remember too that they used to tell us that's God's phone number is Jeremiah 33:3. And so I want to read this to you really quick. Here's what it says. It says, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Okay, but call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and wonderful things you don't know. All right, so that scripture today comes to my mind because we've been asking the Lord to resolve this situation. And I don't know why things are going the way they are. I believe everything happens for a reason. And so there may be something, a deeper reason involved here, which requires us being patient and trusting God to take care of things. So as we were talking about stuff, and will this happen today or won't it and all, I was reminded of this story. And well, actually, we really were talking about chicken manure. And that's what really made me think about this story, is because, there's a lot of chicken plants around us, a lot of chicken houses, and we know a lot of farmers that had chickens, and I say had because most of them are going out of the chicken business now. But we used to be able to go, in the spring and get some old manure from them that has sat for a while that we could use, in gardens and stuff. And it's just been a wonderful situation for us. Well, as of last year, that started to get a little more tough. And so this year, the Lord has supplied us with more than what we need for this year. But see, that's the thing about chicken manure. It only gets better with time. So we can save it in a pile and we'll keep it covered. And then we can go to that pile as we need it, and we'll have stuff for next year too. And so anyway, we're just talking about, some farmers that we know that are getting ready to spread some chicken manure on their fields. And, we asked if we could get a little, and they're like, yeah, sure, go get what you need, before we spread it. Yeah, fine, and so Marvin's like, I got to go, pick that up today because I'm sure they're going to spread it this week. And I was just like going, that is so, this particular farmer family, anyway, they have just been so sweet to us. And, and I said, because my dad's family were farmers. And when I was little, I lived in a farming community. I grew up around farmers. I love farmers. I wanted to be married to a farmer, and I kind of am now. But farmers, my experience has been, can be some of the most loving, giving, caring people you would ever meet. And I just think they have these great hearts, and, they know how to work together and not be against each other, but for each other. And so I was telling him a story about, and I want to share that story with you. So when I was young, growing up, when we lived in the town where I was born, Lebanon, Oregon. Yeah, I'll tell you now, most people will have no clue that place even exists. Well, if you're really into strawberries, you might, because that's where they have the big strawberry festival every year. But anyway, we had lots of farmers. And so all the farmers that we had, we're talking big farms that they all ran. And they all did different things, but I think most of them grew like ryegrass and stuff. That they grew grains where we lived. And anyway, most of them, if not all of them, they had gas pumps on their land. Okay, and they had gas and they had diesel because that was the fuel that they needed for their trucks and their tractors and their cars and whatever. And they just had all of that out there. You're way far away from town, and so you might need to fill up just to even get to town. Well, my dad was just starting out as a school teacher in a little bitty town, didn't make hardly any money. And life was usually pretty tight for us and a struggle. And you just, got paid for 9 months out of the year at that time. The teachers would just get paychecks the months they taught. And then you had 3 months in the summer when there was no pay. Well, there wasn't enough money to stretch over summer. So my dad would work in the fields for the different farmers we knew. And this one particular farmer is who I think he worked for the most. And anyway, when we would go out to see them, like if they'd have us come out for dinner or whatever, they usually would ask, do you, hey, do you guys need some gas? Go over to the gas pumps. Let me fill you up before you go back to town. And they never wanted anything for it. They just had these generous hearts. They knew it was hard for us, and they wanted to help however they could. Well, this one particular time, we were going out to this one family's, to the farmer that my dad usually worked for. And we were going out there for something. And when we got there, we had a little tiny VW Bug. First one ever sold in the state of Oregon. People used to go, "What is that thing?" They didn't even know what that car was. But anyway, when we got out there, my dad goes, "Oh no." My mom's like, "What's wrong?" He goes, "We are on empty." He goes, "We don't have enough fuel to get back to town." He goes, I don't know why I didn't look before we came out here." And she goes, "Well, it's okay. Because, Glenn usually, wants to get, fill up the tank before we leave anyway. So it'll be okay." And, and she said, "But let's just pray about it first, before we go in there." And so, my mom and my dad and my brothers and I, we sat there and we prayed and asked the Lord to provide for our need, if that was his will. And, and so after we prayed, my mom said, "Now don't anybody say anything. All right? Don't say we need gas. Don't say nothing. Just be quiet and we'll just let God take care of this." So we, got out of the car and we went in and we saw him and we played and the adults talked, and I don't know, maybe we had a meal. I don't know what all we did. But we were there a long time because it was getting dark when we got ready to leave. And we went out, and they walked us out to the car and we all got in the car and stuff, but nobody said anything about filling up our tank with gas. And I remember my brothers and I kind of looking at each other a little nervous, and my mom giving us "You stop it now. Don't you say, God's going to take care of us, look." And so we were just not too sure, and it was that feeling. Did God hear us when we prayed? Did he listen? Is he going to take care of this? Because it's too far to walk back to town, and we're not going to get very far, and we're going to be dead on the side of the road. And, and so all these little worries were coming up. And so my dad even went as far as he started the car for us to head home. We're just going to trust Jesus. And he had started that car, and no sooner he'd done that, and this farmer said, "Hey, pull over by the pumps before you, out behind the barn by the pumps before you go back, because I want to fill your tank with gas before you go." And so we did, and we thanked him and everything. And when we got in the car, we went home praising the Lord the whole way for how he had heard us. But, and my mom and dad, they were awesome parents. They really were. And they were always trying to help us to learn, and it was like, "Look, kids," it looked like God wasn't even listening, that he hadn't heard. My dad goes, "Well, I just knew then he'd provide another way. Maybe he'd just allow us to get home on the fumes, or whatever." Because we didn't really have much money even to get gas to put in the car. And I'm sure, I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure, because we didn't have much money for anything. There were a lot of times when we're walking down to the butcher's shop for my mom to put her one dime that she had on the counter, and we'd get one hot dog wrapped up in butcher paper to take home and divide among 5 people. So, it was a little tough. And but anyway, the Lord had provided, and she had wanted us to know that even when it looks like God's not going to provide, even when he comes through at the very last second, he does come through, and that we can trust him and we don't need to be worried. Now, both of our parents told us they weren't worried. They knew God was going to take care of something. I don't know. Maybe they did worry a little, and they just didn't want us to know that, because they were trying to help us understand not to do all this worrying about what's going to happen or not, and is it going to be okay, but talk to the Lord and trust him, and he'll never fail you. Call on him and he will answer you, just like it says in Jeremiah 33:3. "And he will tell us great and unsearchable things that we don't know." He will teach us things that we could not know any way other than through him. And so after I told Marvin that story, bless his heart, he's a good man, like my parents were good people. And I am so blessed and grateful to have him for a husband. And see, right now he's sitting on the couch watching this going, "I'm not that great. Quit making people think I'm so good." But so excuse me for a moment. Marvin, my sweetie, yes, you are. The part of you that seeks after God and searches for him and trusts in him, is an awesome man of God, and I love you so much. I love that in you. I love God more than I love you, but I love that in you, and that's what makes you such a good man and such a wonderful man that blesses my heart. Okay, now back to everybody else. God will take care of you. Whatever it is that you're having to trust him for, whatever it is that's beyond your means to take care of, it may not come how you expect or when you expect, but he will take care of you. He's not going to leave you or abandon you or just hang you out to dry. He's got a plan, and sometimes his plan requires us to wait. See, if we had just, before we even went out to the car, the farmer had said, hey, by the way, just, pull out back, by the pumps so I can fill you up with gas before you go home, then it would just been one more day like any other day, like, oh. But the fact that he didn't, and that we had gotten as far as my dad starting that car, put a moment of doubt in me. I don't know about my brothers, but I'll say it put a moment of doubt in me of, oh no, because I saw this farmer filling our tanks as the only option there was. Now I've learned there's a lot of other options for, God can do anything. But, as a little child, that's the only thing I understood was going to help us get home. And he wasn't doing that. And so I thought, we're in trouble. And it's good that it went that way, because then I was able to learn, as my mom wanted me to learn from that experience, that even though it goes to the very last moment and you're getting ready to pull out of the driveway on empty, the Lord was right there and had that farmer say, oh, by the way, pull around back because of the barn there so I can fill you up. Yeah. So I don't know what you need today. I know some of the things I need. I don't know what you need, but I want you to know that whatever it is, you can trust God with it, and he will pull through. Even if it's in the very last moment, there's a reason for his timing. That day, I believe it was so a little blonde-headed, silly girl could learn to trust the Lord a little bit more, and a lot of times that's what it is. I don't know why we've got these couple of frustrations that Marvin and I are having to deal with, and things that aren't being taken care of that should have been taken care of weeks ago. I don't know why we're in a situation where it's not happening like it should have happened, but I know that God's doing a work in us, and maybe he's doing a work in other people involved in this too. I don't know, but I just know that I want to have faith in God, not in man, and I want to have the right attitude as I go through it. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I love you. I am praying for you. I have heard a lot lately from several of you, and I love hearing from you. I love getting to talk to you. I am finding some of the most amazing people out there in the world through this little channel, and you guys you don't even know how much you bless me and encourage me. What was I called? A respected granny the other day. My daughter was here when that came through, and I go, oh, I've got to read this comment to you. That just blessed my heart so much. And she goes, a granny. And I go, yeah, and I love it. I love being a grandma. I love being a granny. Old age does not bother me. I kind of enjoy it. So even with the aches and pains that come with it. But anyway, you guys bless me so much. You have no idea. And so I just pray that God blesses you today, that your faith in him will grow. And for those of you that are still trying to figure out if Jesus is right for you, oh, I hope you figure it out soon, because he is, and life is way better with him than it is without him. Because you're still going to go through the things you're going to go through. And I'll tell you, I'd rather go through with him than on my own. Yeah, if I'm the only resource I have, I'm in trouble. All right. I love you guys. You have an awesome day. I'll talk to you again real soon.